Good afternoon. Welcome to the Midday News on Rajya Sabha TV. All the developing news stories at the top of one coming up ahead, including all the news on the budget session of Parliament. I'm Aishwarya Kapoor with you. Here are the headlines first. Nomination process for election to 55 Rajya Sabha seats starts today. Elections to be held on 26th of March as members from across 17 states set to retire. Protests continue in both houses of Parliament over Delhi violence. Rajya Sabha adjourned for the day. Lok Sabha passes Mineral Laws Amendment Bill 2020 amid disruptions. All-party committee of Lok Sabha formed to inquire into incident of misconduct against the chair. Headed by Lok Sabha Speaker, committee to have members from all parties. 7 Congress MPs were suspended on 5th of March for gross misconduct. Government says taking all necessary steps to deal with coronavirus. No shortage of medicines. Delhi government shuts all primary schools till 31st of March. 31 cases of coronavirus confirmed in the country. And RBI to take swift action on Yes Bank issue within 30 days, assures the central bank's governor Shakti Kanta Das a day after placing the bank on moratorium. Says decision on Yes Bank to maintain stability of the Indian financial and banking sector. First up, news on the budget session of Parliament and Rajya Sabha proceedings were adjourned for the day on Friday amid protests by the members of the Congress and other opposition parties over the issue of Delhi violence. The House will now reassemble on 11th of March after Holi. As soon as the House met for the day, Chairman M. Venkaiah Naidu lauded the role of women in all spheres of the society ahead of Women's Day on 8th of March.
Despite women registering remarkable progress on all fronts, gender equality and women's safety still remains elusive. Crimes against women are on the rise, the panacea for which lies not only in increasing the quality of policing and tweaking the criminal justice system, but also challenging and changing the deep-seated mindset prevalent in our society. In certain areas, change in the mindset of the society needs to be supplemented by better health care, educational and employment avenues for women. Women should be provided with enough opportunities to serve as legislators in the state legislature and parliament. They also need to be included and consulted in every fora for policy formulation and implementation. This will ensure outcomes which are sensitive to the needs of women and provide ample opportunities for them to prosper and contribute to nation building.
However, after the papers were laid on the table in the House, opposition members protested over the recent violence in northeast Delhi, forcing the chairman to adjourn the House for the day.
You want discussion, you don't want House to run, you don't want other members to have their say. You have come prepared. You have come prepared to disturb the House. That seems to be the situation. The House is adjourned to meet at 11 a.m. on 11th, that is Wednesday.
Meanwhile, Lok Sabha also witnessed repeated adjournments as opposition members continued with their protest over the Delhi violence. Lok Sabha was first adjourned till 12 noon as the proceedings lasted for less than 2 minutes when the House took up the question hour. And as soon as the Lok Sabha reassembled, again there were disruptions. Earlier in the morning, as soon as the Lok Sabha assembled at 11 a.m., some members of the Congress and other opposition parties raised slogans in the House. And after the House reconvened, Leader of Congress in the House, Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary, objected to the suspension of Congress MPs from the Lok Sabha. However, Union Parliamentary Affairs Minister Prahlad Joshi defended the government's decision on suspension of the Congress MPs. Now the House has formed an all-party committee to inquire into the incident of misconduct against the chair, and the committee will be headed by the Lok Sabha Speaker. And amid opposition protests, the House passed also the Mineral Laws Amendment Bill 2020 by a voice vote. The bill aims to further amend the Mines and Minerals Development Regulation Act 1957 and also amends the Coal Mines Special Provisions Act 2015. The House was later adjourned for the day. All right, our colleague Panchanan Mishra is now joining us live from Parliament. Good afternoon, Panchanan. Panchanan, we saw that Parliament today was adjourned just 2 minutes after it opened for the business today, as Congress MPs sought an immediate discussion on Delhi violence and Congress MPs. In fact, we also saw gathered earlier in front of Mahatma Gandhi's statue in the lawns of Parliament building, and they were also protesting. And again, Lok Sabha has been adjourned till 2 p.m., though it did pass the Mineral Laws Amendment Bill 2020 amid disruptions. What can we expect as far as the later half of the day is concerned after 2 p.m.?
Aishwarya, as you know, that first week is gone and there was a major disruption in both the houses. So no work was there, only formal work was there. And as you were discussing about today's work, it being a Friday, it was a private member day basically. So in the first half in Rajya Sabha, it was for the few minutes only when Chairman M. Venkaiah Naidu made observation regarding Women's Day, which falls on 8th of March. And he lauded the role played by women in entire society. But then after the opposition from the Congress and various parties on this Delhi violence issue dominated the House proceedings, and later the House has to be adjourned up to 11th of March. That's the next day after the Holi festival. So this was the disruption entirely in the Rajya Sabha, and in Lok Sabha also. There was the issue of this Delhi violence is dominating, and this House has also been adjourned up to 11. And before adjournment, there was 2 bills were passed amid a din. That's an important bill like Mines and Mineral Bill, and also the bill related to insolvency and bankruptcy code, because there was an ordinance on that over that bill. So these 2 bills were passed today in the din, and one major development was that 7 members from the Congress party were suspended due to the misconduct against the chair. So now there will be a committee in the chairmanship of Lok Sabha Speaker, and this committee will find out the series of incidents between 2nd of March to 5th of March, and it will decide. Already the 7 members are suspended there, but the committee will take a call. So this was all the summary for this entire week, and the entire week is lodged, and now we are expecting. Government is now looking ready to talk to opposition regarding the remaining days of Parliament, and we are expecting that after the Holi festival, when the House will reassemble, there will be a good conduct of the House.
All right, Panchanan, thank you so much for all those updates there. So Lok Sabha has been adjourned till 2 p.m. Rajya Sabha, of course, was adjourned for the day, and it will now reconvene after Holi on 11th. We have to wait and watch whether disruptions continue, or will be some sort of a peace really, and the members so that can discuss the various issues and also legislations that have been hanging fire for quite some time now. Let's get to some other news now. Nominations for elections to 55 Rajya Sabha seats begins today with the issue of the notification. The last date for filing of nominations is 13th of March, while the scrutiny of nominations will be carried out on 16th of March. And last date for the withdrawal of candidature is 18th of March, and polling will be held on 26th of March. 55 seats in the 245-member Rajya Sabha are falling vacant in the month of April, as members from across 17 states are set to retire. These include 7 members from Maharashtra, 6 from Tamil Nadu, 4 each from Karnataka, Andhra Pradesh and Gujarat. 5 members from Bihar and West Bengal are retiring, 3 each from Madhya Pradesh and Rajasthan, 2 from Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh, Telangana and Haryana, and 1 each from Meghalaya and Himachal Pradesh. Tenure of nominated member KTS Tulsi has already ended on 24th of February. And in midday news, time for a very short break. We'll be right back. Stay tuned.
Tales that inspire. stories of social change. A salute to diversity, promoting public discourse. Events that motivate, inspiring the innovative spirit. Watch Rajya Sabha television documentaries.
What is Panel of Vice Chairman? Panel of Vice Chairman in Rajya Sabha consists of senior MPs. In the absence of presiding officers, a member from the Panel of Vice Chairman presides over the proceedings of the House.
Standing at the center of Quwwatul Islam Mosque inside the historic Qutub complex, this iconic iron pillar gives us a glimpse of Delhi's tryst with the kingdom and its supremacy. This iconic pillar bears an inscription written in a later form of Brahmi script of Ashokan time. The inscription on the pillar talks about the victory of a great king, defeating his enemies from the expanse of areas between what is now Bengal to Punjab. The pillar is 7 meters tall and is 1 meter below the ground with diameter of 48 centimeters at the foot, getting slender at the top, measuring 29 centimeters. Weighing approximately 6.5 tons, the pillar was manufactured by forged welding and has not rusted ever since. As per the popular folklores, Delhi's Rajput king Anandpal Tomar gave this land a name based on this pillar. The story goes that King Anandpal Tomar was told by a sage that this pillar is immovable and rested on a hood of a serpent king, Vasuki. Out of sheer curiosity, Tomar decided to check the ground beneath the pillar, and surprisingly, he indeed found the pillar resting on the head of a serpent king. In an awe of what he has seen, Tomar bowed to the land and ordered to install the pillar back. The pillar could be fixed back firmly and remained loose, dhila as we call it in Hindi. It was here Delhi got the first variant of his name, Delhi, the land whose soil is loose.
Welcome back after the break. Information Commissioner Bimal Julka has been appointed as the Chief Information Commissioner, and President Ramnath Kovind administered the oath of office to Julka as the CIC at the Central Information Commission at a ceremony held at the Rashtrapati Bhavan. The watchdog has been functioning without a chief after Sunil Bhargav retired on 11th of January and is at a reduced strength of 6 information commissioners against the sanctioned strength of 11, including the CIC. There is a vacancy of 5 more information commissioners now at the commission after Julka's appointment as the CIC. And on to the other big story that we are tracking. The Reserve Bank of India has assured a swift solution to the issues concerning Yes Bank. Speaking a day after placing Yes Bank on moratorium, Shakti Kanta Das, the RBI governor, said that 30 days has been given as its outer limit. He said that the decision on Yes Bank was taken at a larger level to maintain stability and resilience of the Indian financial and banking sector. He assured that the banking sector continues to be sound and safe.
It will be done very swiftly, it will be done very fast. 30 days which we have given is the outer limit, and you will see, you will see very swift action from the Reserve Bank of India to put in place, a scheme to revive the Yes Bank.
Remember, Yes Bank was on Thursday placed under a moratorium with the RBI capping deposit withdrawals at 50,000 rupees per account for a month and superseding its board. For the next month, Yes Bank will be led by RBI-appointed Administrator Prashant Kumar and ex-Chief Financial Officer of SBI. And hours after the moratorium, the SBI board gave in-principle approval to explore investment opportunity in the bank. With this move, Yes Bank will not be able to grant or renew any loan or advance, make any investment, incur any liability, or agree to disburse any payment. And now an update on the coronavirus situation. India's confirmed coronaviruses jumped to 31 as another Delhi resident with a travel history to Thailand and Malaysia tested positive for COVID-19 today. Earlier on Thursday, one more case of coronavirus was reported in Ghaziabad in the national capital region. And earlier, the figure had taken a jump from Wednesday with a group of 16 Italian tourists testing positive for the virus. Meanwhile, domestic stock markets suffered sharp losses in early trade on Friday amid a sell-off across the world as the spread of coronavirus pandemic stoked fears of recession, coupled with RBI's action on seizing control of the beleaguered Yes Bank. The BSE Sensex Index nosedived as much as 1,459.52 points to hit 37,011 on the downside in the first few minutes of the trade, and the broader NSE Nifty benchmark also dropped to a low of 10,827.4, down 441.6 points from the previous close. However, RBI Chief Shaktikanta Das has ruled out long-term impact of the virus on the Indian economy. He insisted that the economy is not too integrated with the global value chain, and to that extent, we will be insulated. He also noted that there are enough resources to fight the crisis, given the robust forex reserves. He added that mitigatory steps are being taken to minimize the impact on the sectors that depend on China.
All nations, all central banks have resolved to work in very close coordination to deal with coronavirus, because that has now turned out to be a global problem. So a global problem needs globally coordinated action, and that commitment is visible across countries, across central banks in all countries.
Meanwhile, the rising number of cases of COVID-19 has pushed the Delhi government to shut the primary schools till 31st of March. A similar decision is likely for the secondary section once the examinations are over. The Delhi government has also suspended the biometric attendance system in its offices, autonomous bodies and municipal corporations. The Manipur government has also suspended the biometric attendance system. And Prime Minister Narendra Modi also postponed his next week's visit to Brussels in Belgium for the India-European Union summit. The Foreign Ministry said that both nations agreed to this in view of the outbreak. Meanwhile, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the Ministry of Home Affairs on 5th of March issued an alert for 6 states with an advisory on the do's and don'ts to stop the spread of the disease. The states of West Bengal, Bihar, Uttar Pradesh, Punjab, Sikkim and Uttarakhand were put on alert. Meanwhile, India is also in touch with Iran on possible evacuation of Indian pilgrims and students stranded there. Hundreds of Indians, including fishermen, students, are stranded in Iran, where coronavirus is spreading fast. Nearly 1,000 people have been infected in Iran and more than 100 are dead. External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar said that an Indian medical team will reach Iran and that authorities are working on the logistics for the return of the Indians. The government has also assured that there is no shortage of raw ingredients or medicines in the country. Minister of Chemicals and Fertilizers, D.V. Sadanand Gowda, on Thursday said that the centre has taken various initiatives to tackle the challenge posed by the outbreak. And talking about the coronavirus situation globally, now reports of new coronavirus cases are coming from around the world, with the outbreaks also growing fast in Italy, Iran, South Korea, as well as the United States. Now, Italy closed all schools and universities till 15th of March as the number of deaths from the new coronavirus in the Mediterranean country hit 107. The country now has recorded over 3,000 cases. and only trails China in terms of total fatalities. And Iran also reported 92 deaths among its more than 2,922 cases, though many fear that the outbreak is far bigger. Iranian President Hassan Rouhani, in his cabinet meeting held on Friday, appealed to everyone to work together to tackle the problem as quickly as possible. And the death toll of coronavirus in China has crossed 3,000 with 31 new fatalities, while the total number of confirmed cases jumped to over 80,000. Chinese President Xi Jinping has called for undiminished vigilance. He said that the situation in Wuhan still remains severe despite positive progress. Meanwhile, talking about Europe, the French Health Ministry reported 2 more deaths from coronavirus infections, bringing the country's total to 6 and 92 new cases since Wednesday. It was the biggest one-day jump in the number of French cases since the outbreak began, raising the total to 377. And Britain also recorded its first death in the new coronavirus outbreak, and the total number of confirmed cases in the country jumped to 115. Meanwhile, the World Health Organization warned that too many countries were not taking all the steps needed to fight the spread of the deadly new coronavirus. WHO chief said that he was concerned that a long list of countries were not showing the level of political commitment that was needed to match the level of the threat that we all face. More than 95,000 people now have been infected all over the world, and over 3,200 have died from the virus worldwide, which by Thursday had reached more than 80 countries and territories. Top international focus now. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has fallen short of a majority with his allies. The final election results confirmed on Thursday. Netanyahu had claimed a huge victory after the polls, as initial exit polls had indicated that his Likud party and allies will get 60 seats, just one short of the majority. While Likud has emerged as the largest individual party with 36 seats, ahead of 33 seats for the rival Benny Gantz's Blue and White Party. But even with his smaller allies, Netanyahu's bloc captured just 58 seats, which is short of the majority of 61 seats. Although Netanyahu's Likud had a much better performance than in September election, the final results have still not resolved the political crisis in the country. And now, let's talk about environment and climate change. European Commission's draft of new climate law mandates EU members to achieve climate neutrality, that is, net zero greenhouse emissions by 2050. European Commission unveiled the climate law to make the EU's 2050 net zero emissions target legally binding. The law will commit to the 27-nation EU to reduce its net greenhouse gas emissions to zero by 2050. The European climate law, which still requires the approval of the European Parliament and the member states, will be joined by a new 2030 EU target for greenhouse gas emission reductions. And with that, we wrap up this edition of Midday News. Thanks so much for your time.